Imagine the echoes of footsteps reverberating through marble halls, where whispered conversations shaped the destiny of the most powerful empire in history. Welcome to a world where real power didn't always reside in the hands that wore the imperial rings, but in the minds of those who stood in the shadows. The Roman Empire, known for its mighty legions and masculine dominance, harbored a secret that centuries of history books have often overlooked: the extraordinary women who wielded influence from behind the throne. In the perfumed chambers of Roman palaces, these remarkable women whispered commands into emperors' ears, orchestrated political destinies from the shadows of grand columns, and defied every expectation of their deeply patriarchal society. They were mothers, wives, sisters, and advisors who mastered the intricate dance of power in a world that officially denied them any authority. This wasn't just a matter of subtle influence. These women were the hidden engines of imperial Rome, architecting decisions that would echo through centuries. These weren't just passive observers in the grand theatre of Roman politics. They were master strategists who understood that true power often lay not in the public display of authority, but in the careful manipulation of circumstances and relationships. In the candlelit rooms of imperial palaces, they crafted alliances, orchestrated successions, and sometimes even determined the fate of the empire itself. If you're ready to embark on this captivating journey into the lives of the women who truly ruled Rome, join us as we pull back the curtain on one of history's most fascinating untold stories. From the brilliant machinations of Livia Drusilla to the bold ambitions of Agrippina the Younger, we'll reveal how these remarkable women shaped an empire from the shadows. This is not just another tale of Roman glory. This is the story of how the women of Rome mastered the art of power in ways that would make Machiavelli himself take notes. Remember to subscribe to Legacy of Empires and activate your notifications, because this is just the beginning of our exploration into the hidden chambers of power where Rome's most influential women made history. Let's dive into a world where ambition, intelligence, and cunning proved far more powerful than any sword. The Roman Empire, spanning across 3 continents and enduring for over 5 centuries, presents a fascinating paradox in the annals of history. While historical accounts have traditionally portrayed Rome as a bastion of masculine power, where men in togas debated in the Senate and commanded vast legions, a more nuanced reality existed beneath this superficial narrative. The empire harbored an intricate network of female influence that operated within and often transcended the strict patriarchal boundaries of Roman society. During the imperial period, particularly from the reign of Augustus onwards, women of the imperial household discovered and cultivated unique pathways to power. While Roman law placed women under the legal guardianship of their male relatives through the system of tutela, many elite women found ingenious ways to navigate and manipulate these restrictions. They transformed their seemingly limited roles as wives, mothers, and priestesses into positions of remarkable influence and authority. The social structure of imperial Rome, while overtly patriarchal, contained subtle mechanisms that allowed for female agency. The concept of matrona, or respected married woman, carried significant social weight. These women controlled vast household resources, managed extensive patronage networks, and often served as crucial intermediaries in political alliances. Their supposed domestic realm extended far beyond the household, reaching into the very machinery of imperial governance. What makes these women's achievements even more remarkable is the context of their time. In an era when female public participation was officially discouraged, when women couldn't vote or hold formal political office, they nevertheless managed to become some of the most influential power brokers in the empire. They operated through informal channels, utilizing a sophisticated understanding of Roman social dynamics, family connections, and the power of wealth and influence. The imperial court itself became a theater where these women exercised their influence. While men occupied the official positions of power, women like Livia, Messalina, and the two Agrippinas proved that real authority didn't always require a formal title. They built extensive networks of informants, managed vast financial resources, and often acted as key advisors on matters of state policy, military strategy, and imperial succession. These women were not merely passive beneficiaries of their male relatives' power. They were skilled politicians in their own right, mastering the art of alliance building, patronage, and strategic marriage arrangements. Some, like Livia, Augustus's wife, even received the title of Augusta and had their image minted on coins, a privilege previously reserved for gods and emperors. The religious sphere also provided opportunities for female power. The Vestal Virgins, perhaps the most obvious example, enjoyed privileges and authority that would have been unthinkable for most Roman women. Their influence extended beyond religious matters into politics and state affairs, demonstrating how women could leverage religious authority into real political power. This complex landscape of female influence in imperial Rome challenges our modern assumptions about ancient gender roles. While these women operated within the constraints of their society, they proved remarkably adept at finding and exploiting opportunities for power. Their stories reveal not just individual achievements, but a sophisticated understanding of how to exercise authority in a system that officially denied them access to it. The historical context of these powerful Roman women isn't just about documenting their achievements. It's about understanding how they managed to become architects of power in a world that supposedly excluded them from its highest reaches. Their legacy demonstrates that true power often operates independently of official titles and formal authority, a lesson that resonates well beyond the marble halls of ancient Rome. Picture a woman whose penetrating gaze could pierce through the veils of political deception. In the marble halls of imperial Rome, Livia Drusilla moved with calculated grace, her silk robes whispering secrets across intricate mosaic floors. As wife to Emperor Augustus, she transcended the role of mere consort to become one of the most sophisticated political operators in Roman history. Livia's power lay not in brute force, but in her masterful understanding of Roman political machinery. She cultivated an extensive network of informants and allies, transforming the imperial household into her own political command center. Her methods were subtle, yet devastatingly effective. A carefully placed word here, a strategic marriage arrangement there. She understood that true power often lay in patience and careful manipulation rather than overt displays of authority. Her crowning achievement was securing the succession for her son Tiberius, a feat that required decades of careful political maneuvering. She systematically removed potential rivals through a combination of political exile, strategic marriages, and carefully orchestrated scandals. Yet she maintained an image of the perfect Roman matrona, modest, dignified, and apparently devoted solely to her family's welfare. This careful balance between public virtue and private ambition became her trademark. If Livia was the master of subtle manipulation, Agrippina the Younger was a force of nature who rewrote the rules of female power in Rome. Great-granddaughter of Augustus himself, she wielded her imperial lineage like a weapon. Her ambition wasn't just to influence power, she wanted to wield it directly. As mother to the Emperor Nero, she achieved unprecedented authority for a woman in Rome. Agrippina's methods were bold and often brutal. She orchestrated the death of her uncle-turned-husband, Emperor Claudius, allegedly through poisoned mushrooms, to secure the throne for her teenage son, Nero. She appeared on Roman coins alongside her son, an honor previously unheard of for an imperial woman. For a time, she even sat behind a curtain during Senate meetings, effectively co-ruling the empire. Her political acumen was matched only by her determination. Like a modern corporate strategist, she understood that every alliance, every decision, and every show of force had to be carefully calculated. She built a network of loyal supporters through a combination of patronage, threats, and strategic marriages, demonstrating that in the game of imperial politics, gender was no barrier to absolute power. In the heart of Rome stood the Temple of Vesta, home to perhaps the most unique and privileged women in the empire. The Vestal Virgins, chosen from noble families before puberty, held a position of unprecedented power and autonomy in Roman society. Their sacred duty of maintaining the eternal flame of Rome granted them privileges that even elite male citizens might envy. These priestesses were far more than religious figureheads. They were trusted with state documents, wills, and treaties. Their testimony in court was accepted without the usual oath required of others. They could move freely through the city, preceded by lictors, a privilege usually reserved for male magistrates. If they encountered a condemned criminal on their path, that person would be automatically pardoned. Selected from the most prestigious families at a young age, they served for 30 years, during which they had to maintain absolute chastity. The price of failure was being buried alive, but the rewards of their position were extraordinary. They were the only women in Rome who could own property and make wills without male guardianship. Their political influence extended far beyond their religious duties. They were confidants to emperors, advisors in matters of state, and sometimes even kingmakers in times of political crisis. These women, Livia, Agrippina, and the Vestals, represent different faces of female power in ancient Rome. Each found unique ways to navigate and dominate a system designed to exclude them from authority. Their stories remind us that power often flows through unexpected channels, and that the official narrative of male dominance in Roman society masks a far more complex reality of female influence and agency. The Roman Empire presents us with a fascinating paradox in its treatment of women. While overtly patriarchal in its legal and social structures, the empire possessed numerous subtle channels through which women could exercise significant influence. These pathways to power, though unofficial, were deeply woven into the fabric of Roman society. Marriage in Rome was far more than a domestic arrangement. It was a sophisticated political instrument. Elite women, in particular, understood that strategic marriages could create powerful alliances and open doors to unprecedented influence. These unions were carefully orchestrated, often spanning generations of planning. A well-connected matrona, married woman, could leverage her position to influence multiple powerful families, creating networks of obligation and loyalty that extended far beyond the domestic sphere. The Roman household, or domus, served as a miniature political arena. While men might have held official authority, women often controlled the day-to-day management of these substantial estates. This included overseeing vast financial resources, managing numerous slaves and clients, and maintaining crucial social connections. The skills required to run a successful domus were remarkably similar to those needed for political administration, resource management, personnel oversight, and strategic planning. Religious institutions provided another crucial avenue for female power. Beyond the famous Vestal Virgins, women played vital roles in various cults and religious ceremonies. The worship of certain deities, particularly female ones, often fell under women's purview, giving them spiritual authority that could translate into social and political influence. Religious festivals and ceremonies provided opportunities for public visibility and social networking that might otherwise have been denied to them. Education, though not formally structured for women as it was for men, played a crucial role in female empowerment. Elite Roman women were often highly educated, trained in literature, rhetoric, and philosophy. This intellectual cultivation, combined with their social position, made them formidable participants in political and cultural discussions, even if they couldn't participate officially in political offices. The Roman patronage system offered another channel for female influence. Wealthy women could act as patronae, supporting artists, writers, and even politicians. This patronage created networks of obligation and loyalty that could be leveraged for political purposes. Women's ability to build and maintain these networks of influence was a crucial component of their power. Perhaps most intriguingly, Roman society maintained a complex relationship with female authority. While officially restricting women's formal power, it simultaneously celebrated historical examples of powerful women who had saved Rome through their actions. This cultural ambivalence created space for women to exercise influence while maintaining the facade of traditional female virtue. The concept of matronal dignity also provided a platform for female authority. A respected matrona could speak out on public issues under the guise of protecting traditional values or family interests. This allowed women to participate in public discourse while technically remaining within accepted social boundaries. Legal restrictions, paradoxically, sometimes created opportunities for female power. The very systems designed to limit women's authority, such as the requirement for male guardianship, could be manipulated by clever women who understood how to work within and around these constraints. Some women managed to acquire significant financial independence through careful navigation of legal loopholes. Take a moment now and reflect. Which aspects of Roman women's social power surprise you the most? Is it their ability to influence politics through marriage alliances, their religious authority, or perhaps their skill in managing vast household estates? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you're enjoying this journey through Roman history, don't forget to support our channel with a like. The cultural and social elements that enabled female power in Rome remind us that official restrictions don't always tell the whole story of how influence and authority operate in a society. These women's ability to navigate and exploit social systems that officially marginalize them demonstrates both their remarkable capabilities and the complex nature of power itself. The influence of Rome's powerful women extends far beyond their own lifetimes, creating ripples through history that continue to shape our understanding of power, gender, and political influence. Their legacy transcends the conventional narrative of Roman history, revealing a more complex and nuanced picture of how authority operated in the ancient world. The most immediate and tangible impact of these women was their role in shaping imperial succession. Livia's careful orchestration of Tiberius's rise to power established a precedent for female involvement in imperial politics that would last for generations. This created what historians now recognize as a dual power structure within the imperial court: the official, male-dominated political sphere and the informal but equally crucial network of female influence. Their influence on public policy was equally significant, though often overlooked by traditional historians. These women shaped everything from construction projects to legal reforms. Livia, for instance, built numerous temples and public buildings, establishing a tradition of female public patronage that would be followed by subsequent imperial women. The legislation concerning women's rights and property ownership gradually evolved during the imperial period, partially due to the influence of powerful women who demonstrated the capability of female leadership. The archaeological record reveals their lasting impact on Roman material culture. Women from the imperial family appeared on coins, their images were captured in statues, and their names were immortalized on public buildings. This visual representation of female power, though subtle, helped normalize the concept of women as influential public figures. The artistic depictions of these women, often showing them as dignified, powerful figures, created a visual language of female authority that would influence art for centuries to come. In terms of religious influence, these women's legacy was particularly profound. The Vestal Virgins established a model of female religious authority that would later influence Christian convents and female religious orders. Their example demonstrated how women could maintain both religious purity and significant public influence, a concept that would prove influential in medieval and early modern Europe. Perhaps their most significant legacy was in establishing alternative models of power. These women demonstrated that authority could be exercised through various channels, not just through official positions, but through networks of influence, financial control, and careful political maneuvering. This sophisticated understanding of power dynamics would influence political theory and practice for generations to come. Their impact on social mobility and female education was also substantial. The success of these powerful women created precedents for female involvement in public life, even if such involvement remained unofficial. They demonstrated the importance of education and political acumen for women, establishing patterns that would be followed by ambitious women throughout history. The documentary evidence they left behind, letters, inscriptions, and official records, has proven invaluable to our understanding of Roman society. Through these sources, we gain insight not just into their lives, but into the complex ways power operated in Roman society. Their stories challenge simplistic narratives about gender roles in the ancient world and remind us that history is always more complex than it first appears. In modern scholarship, these women's lives have prompted a fundamental reassessment of how we understand power in ancient Rome. Their stories have encouraged historians to look beyond official positions and formal authority to understand how influence really operated in ancient societies. This has led to more nuanced and sophisticated approaches to studying both Roman history and gender relations in the ancient world. Their legacy continues to resonate in contemporary discussions about gender and power. Their strategies for exercising influence in a male-dominated system offer insights that remain relevant today. They demonstrate that effective leadership isn't always about holding official positions, but about understanding and effectively using the networks and systems of influence available. Moreover, their stories serve as powerful reminders that women's influence on history isn't a modern phenomenon. These Roman women were exercising sophisticated forms of power and influence at a time when conventional history would have us believe women were completely powerless. Their legacy challenges us to look more carefully at history, to seek out the hidden influences and unofficial powers that have always shaped human society. As we draw our exploration of Rome's powerful women to a close, we find ourselves confronting a profound question that echoes across millennia. How many more untold stories of female power and influence lie hidden in the shadows of history? The women we've discussed today, Livia, Agrippina, and the Vestal Virgins, emerged into historical visibility largely because of their proximity to the highest levels of Roman power. But for every Livia who shaped an empire from behind the throne, how many other influential women operated in ways that never made it into the historical record? The stories we've uncovered reveal a fundamental truth about power. It doesn't always reside where official histories tell us to look. These Roman women demonstrate that real authority often operates in subtle ways, through carefully cultivated relationships, strategic thinking, and patient manipulation of existing social structures. Their experiences challenge us to think more deeply about how we understand power, not just in ancient Rome, but in all historical contexts. What's particularly striking is how these women managed to transform limitations into opportunities. In a society that officially denied them political authority, they created alternative pathways to power that were sometimes more effective than traditional male authority structures. Their methods, building networks of influence, leveraging family connections, and manipulating social expectations, remind us that power takes many forms, not all of them obvious or officially sanctioned. Their legacy prompts us to reconsider how we read historical sources. If these powerful women could operate so effectively in ancient Rome, What other influential female figures might we discover by looking more carefully at historical evidence? How might our understanding of other historical periods change if we looked more closely at the unofficial channels of power that women often exploited? Furthermore, their stories raise intriguing questions about the nature of historical documentation itself. We know about these women largely because male historians wrote about them, often critically. How many other powerful women were simply ignored by historical chroniclers because their influence didn't fit into traditional narratives of power? How many stories have been lost because they didn't align with what male historians thought worth recording? The remarkable women of ancient Rome demonstrate that history is rarely as simple as it first appears. Behind every great empire, every significant historical event, there may well be hidden influences and unacknowledged powers that shaped outcomes in crucial ways. Their stories remind us to look beyond official narratives and consider the complex web of influences that truly shape historical events. And so, as we conclude our journey through the hidden corridors of Roman power, I invite you to join us in future explorations of history's untold stories. If you've enjoyed this journey into the past, please show your support by liking this video and sharing it with fellow history enthusiasts. Don't forget to leave a comment telling us which powerful Roman woman most captured your imagination. Was it the subtle manipulator Livia, the ambitious Agrippina, or perhaps the influential Vestal Virgins? Make sure to subscribe to Legacy of Empires and activate your notifications to join us on more adventures through history's hidden pathways. There are countless more stories waiting to be told, more secrets to uncover, and more lessons to learn from the fascinating figures who shaped our past. Until our next historical journey, remember that power often lies not where we expect to find it, but in the shadows, where determined individuals work to shape the course of history.